company founders in the New England area under the age of 30 to obtain VC funding in the past 5 years. Everybody give Matt a warm welcome.
Speaking of my mom, and I don't know, I think I had slides, maybe I don't, we'll see. But my mom called me while I was sitting over here earlier, and she was like, "Where are you? It sounds like really noisy." I was like, "Well, there's like all these noise banger things, and I'm at MIT, they're really smart, and there's these 2 golden statues that I'm curious whether or not they're violent because they scare the hell out of me." Are they? So, that was my attempt. I wanted to do a joke, because last night I judged, and it was awesome. It was like completely infectious and energizing, the energy that you all had, and the other folks that were there had, and the pitches were unbelievable, and the pick, finalist was not easy, because there's so many exciting things going on, and it led me to be really excited to be here tonight. A little bit about us. If you haven't heard about us, we are a local company. We're about 80 people now. I'd say at the beginning of the year we were about 40 people, so we've been growing quickly. We launched last March, so we did a few $1 million last year. We'll do a few multiples of that this year, so we'll continue to go. And really excited. And what I wanted to do was sort of leave like one profound, where I think there's massive opportunity, and when I was watching pitches last night, it resonated with me that some of you can capitalize on this, and then maybe have a couple of takeaways of things that I think are helpful early on when you're out doing the pitches. So I think we have 2 slides, right? Cool. So people call this the ice cream bowl, and somebody's getting it tattooed in our office, and people make fun of me for it. But the notion is as follows, and I think there's an insane amount of opportunity that you should all think about. When people go through a process of making a decision, I would say they go through this interesting process where they start from a very emotional place, they go into a rational place, and they end up in an emotional place again. And on the web, I would say e-tailers to date, whether it's the local companies you may have heard about, or even someone as big as Amazon, I think they're really focused on transactions, more like commodity offerings, and that's really a rational thing to do. So they invest like 95% of their resources, their people, their time in. You guys aren't judging this, right? Daily cancel is so intimidating. So they invest all their time sort of below the line on the rational. What's the return policy? Can I trust this payment transaction? Is this the thing that I want? And it caters to people that want a better transaction with, it's easier, there's a big selection, et cetera, I know what I want. And I would contend that there's a massive opportunity in catering to the emotional side of the equation. So in our business, what that means is when somebody starts out looking for a piece of jewelry, and our average sale is about $1,000, so it's big pieces of jewelry, it's really emotional. Someone might say, I saw a celebrity wearing that, I want to explore that. Or that brand means something to me, I want to explore that. I want to surprise my wife because she's so special to me, or I want to surprise myself because I got a promotion. And you'd be amazed. We spend more time talking to women on email, live chat, and customer care, and average order size doubles and conversion rates go by several 100% higher. But we spend more time talking to women on those things, about things that have nothing to do with jewelry than jewelry itself. We get wedding invitations, flowers in the mail. It's so super cool, the relationships that we're building. But my point being that by looking at the emotional side of the equation, and you start there, and then it goes in this rational place where I think, we invest a ton as well, around building that kind of confidence about the price and the return policy. But then it ends in an emotional place too. And that might be, how does this look on my hand for us? Or can I pass this on to my children? Or is this the absolute best gift that I could get to delight her? And that piece of the equation, once again, I don't think is necessarily being gone after by companies on the web. And, I think that if you think about all your opportunities in the emotional and the rational, think if you break the mold a little bit, get out of today's A/B test or multivariate test and sort of what the results of today, how many people showed up, how many people bought are telling you, and think about what is somebody thinking? What is the meaning behind this? And in our case, 90+% of our customers never bought jewelry online before, and we're trying to get them over that hurdle, so that's what's driving this. I think there's something there, and you guys are way smarter than I am, so you can do super cool things. The other part, which I don't think the third slide came in, so I messed that up. 3 takeaways, I would say, early on while you guys are doing these pitches. Actually, do 4, because I remember the passion from last night. Don't lose that. That's awesome. The first one, I would say, is what I would call the 1% rule, and it's something I learned from the chairman of our board. And the 1% rule is, try to leave the 1% possibility that your approach or your contention is not necessarily the right one. And I think if you leave the 1% rule at any given time, it gives you just enough opportunity, just enough openness to hear an alternative opinion. And when you do that, whether or not that new one you hear is the right one, I think it yields maximum possibility that you're going to get the right answer. That's not always easy. So the 1% rule, I think that's awesome. Second one is talk to people about your idea. I had this idea called a rib wrangler when I was in college, and rib wrangler was like going to let you eat barbecue ribs, without getting your hands messy. Now it failed because it was a terrible idea. That said, I didn't want to tell anybody about it because, I was like, oh my God, they might steal my idea. Nobody's going to steal your idea, and if they can, then you have bigger issues. So I would just say, talk to as many people as possible about your idea. You're going to get so much awesome feedback and learn so much just in that process alone, just like you probably will, from doing this tonight, and I commend you for that. And the last thing I think I would say is, see, that's why I wanted a slide. The last thing I would say is, and this is something I think I actually learned from David Cancel reading a lot of his stuff, because he's awesome, was, I think you should find ways to validate or invalidate whatever it is that you're focused on, this milestone or this test, as cheaply and quickly as possible. And that was a huge mistake that we made very early on. We weren't measuring things, and we weren't clear about how we were going to measure or, that something worked or didn't work. And I would highly, highly, highly encourage you to think about how quickly, for instance, for us, we actually started off going through jewelry stores, and then we were going to launch a direct-to-consumer site. And we could have learned so much cheaper, so much faster what we learned in 50 stores over the course of a year, spending $5 million. With 5 stores, don't tell our VCs, probably with $100,000. I would focus on how do you quickly and cheaply learn things and validate or invalidate, and I think that will be huge. So with that, hopefully that was helpful, but I am so massively big fans, and I only saw part of the mobile track last night, but what you guys are doing and the passion, the energy you have is so contagious, and thank you for that, because that is only amplifying what we can build here in Boston, a place that you should stay and build your company.